Ladies and gents, welcome back to episode 7 of my Clockwork Empires Alpha 45 playthrough. We're just picking up, well, at this point we're just picking up right where we left off last time, but again, as this is likely to be the last episode, I'm just going to skip ahead in big chunks of time now. We have a number. I'm just going to check in on our custom colonist here. There's Yaroslav, who has amazingly survived the entire length of the playthrough so far, despite being strange. So good for him. Hydunia, she is extremely culty and is constantly soliciting new members for her cult, and we just had a minor skirmish with the fish people here. Mr. Meow, he's a creepy fellow who likes to hit on ladies just a little bit too much. Roman Zender, actually, he's not here. He's our current NCO, and I think he might actually live. He might actually not die after 2 military encounters, because now we have a military force large enough to and enough guns to defend the colony. And we're going to have a new overseer, Deadlight Attar. Now, I'm unable to oblige your request to give you a very insane cultist, because Ambrose is... first of all, I'm very short on overseers, but Ambrose is... He's happy. He's a new arrival, so he hasn't had time to become insane yet. But promisingly, he does have the doomed trait. So that should be interesting. Whoops. So let's just... There we go. Hopefully, some interesting stuff will happen. Colonist, yeah. Keep on hearing this. Mr. Meow. Oh, really? Mr. Meow wants a chapel. Yeah, sure, whatever. Maybe I'll get around to building a chapel. One thing I didn't point out is that, or I pointed out incorrectly in previous episodes, was that the names of the workshops, some of the workshops had changed when their overseers went extremely insane. Now that everyone's back to sort of normal sanity, all the workshops have their boring old regular names again. But if it happens, again, I will make a point of pointing it out. You alright? Oh, our smithing forge is complete. I can start making iron ore. Do I have any hematite? Oh, I've even got iron ingots. Good. Alright, so the very first order of business should probably be to build a hematite mine, just so I have a reliable... Where did that hematite... This is one of my issues with the current surveying tasks. Right, when a surveyor surveys one of these little pips to tell you what a mine will yield... Huh. There we go. That's where the hematite mine should go. I have no way of finding them again unless I memorize these little golden triangles. Right, so this is a good place for a hematite mine, because the naturalist has revealed a mine here will produce iron, or hematite ore, which is later refined into iron at the metalworks. So, the mine shaft, or the mine, is this is a problem. A mine shaft is a workshop that will dig up ore out of the ground. Unfortunately, it requires flat ground, and this is actually in a crater. So before I build anything here, I can actually build, well, the mine workshop itself. But before, I would like the mine shaft to extend closer to the little golden pip. I think that's the direction of the, yeah. So before I do that, I'm actually going to have to flatten this land. So I'm going to start construction there, and I'll build the mine shaft as soon as the ground is flattened. So I will... Whoops. So I will Hopefully this works. Sometimes we might get a weird geometric flattening, like if the area you mark for flattening has 2 areas that are already flat at different elevations, sometimes the game gets confused as to which elevation you want to be your reference. Then you get a weird plateau where you have 2 big flat areas, but there's a step in between. Whatever. We'll let the colonists sort it out. Just more fun for later. Here's an interesting development. Mr. Meow, who has been quarrying rock off to the side of the quarry here, has dug up a strange artifact. Now, inevitably digging these things up drives their discoverer slightly more mad, but also we now have an artifact to research, and he is now maximum madness, in addition to already being quite crazy. So Mr. Meow will be one to keep an eye on for the future. But also, oh yes, this fishman corpse was generating beetles, so I could have chopped it up for meat, but it looks like my colonists aren't too thrilled at the prospect of eating fishman meat, so I just ordered it buried instead. And the artifact we dug up was a fishy idol. A fish-like figure crudely carved from yellowed bone or ivory. Now I've got the beginnings of the the iron mine here, and you can see the yellow pips where I've ordered the land to be flattened. I've also started a small plot here for flax. Now, we've got a severe overseer shortage, what with all the death earlier. So unfortunately, even though I've got one flax straw, I don't actually have an overseer assigned to the textile mill to turn it into cloth, and I'm not going to have an overseer for the mine. So hopefully we get one soon, and then I might have to do some overseer juggling just to get stuff done, or maybe I'll take that temporary overseer favor just so I can get some additional productivity. So that's where we stand for now. No new attacks or anything. I think we're okay on the food situation. I've also started building some of the more sophisticated small iron ovens that require metal parts now that the metalworks is up and running, and we can see Deadlight at R is hard at work smelting iron into pipes and ingots and things. I also, you can see, I've got a good stock of pistols now, because the first thing I did was make a whole bunch of pistols. So hopefully we'll never be overrun by bandits and fishmen again. They'll probably still attack us, but hopefully they won't massacre us. So here we are back at the colony. After a sustained period of stability and growth, and something suspiciously cultish going on out here, you can see I've built a number of mines. I don't have the overseers to staff them all, so I figure I'll swap around work crews as I need them. But the hematite mine is up and productive. We're actually getting in a bunch of iron ore now. This is actually a sand mine, which is kind of weird if you think about it, but whatever. So this mine will produce bushels of sand, which is crucial to us building glass, or manufacturing glass. And I've put a stockpile here between them, just so the workers don't have to travel all the way back to town and back, and back and forth every time they mine something up. I've also filtered this stockpile so that it only accepts raw materials, like stone and ore and bushels of sand. So no one will be tempted to bring out their cooked food and stuff out here. Oh look, someone else is complaining about not having a chapel. What's new? I'm busy. Go away. Yeah, so this, the sand mine is under construction. It'll be built shortly. I've also built a malachite mine out here. Same idea. I'm going to need malachite to make copper pipes and things later on, especially for the macroscope and other tools specific to the laboratory. Oh, more workers. Excellent. Oh, a new overseer. Even better. Also a new gang of bandits. That's okay. We will continue shooting to kill. As you can see, I've now completely enclosed the colony. Hopefully that means the crops are safe from dodos and jungle fowl and beetles trying to eat my crops. Although, at 44 colonists now, I'm thinking I actually need to expand my food production. So I might plant a new field outside my town fence. Oh, and if we look at the bottom right here, Mr. Meow has changed the name of their workshop to the Antediluvian Leech Town. Yes, yeah, well, that's going to happen if you let colonists worship whoever. I still don't have any cults. I have some very cult-minded colonists, but no cults as yet. Hopefully we'll see one or two of those pop up soonish. You can also see I've built an upper class building here and a middle class building here, and I've built some more beds. I've got the flax fields working again, and I've got a crew turning the flax into cloth. So I'm churning out beds as fast as I can make them. Now that we're stable enough to be producing beds, I need enough beds for everyone to sleep in. So that's where we are right now. Production is just chugging along. And as soon as all three of these... The problem with getting all three of these mines producing, of course, is that I don't have enough overseers. But more of them will come in time, now that we're being very productive. So that's where the colony is. Doing pretty good. And hopefully I'll be able to produce some of the higher end workshops and materials soon. And we come back to our colony in progress. Breaking cult news. Mr. Meow has formed a cult. If we look at the bottom right here, there was basically our three most insane cultists went around repeatedly trying to recruit people. Eventually, Mr. Meow was the first to find two susceptible colonists. So we can we look at the bottom right here. A new cult which worships nature has been formed by Mr. Meow, and it's named the Lodge of the Whispering Tree. Now, Mr. Meow has joined it himself, and he's also recruited Myrtle Thatch. So this is the recruitment going on right now. And wow, I call this my Site B because this is where it's a distance from town, but there's still quite a lot of activity here. Myrtle Thatch is also quite insane, but joining the cult made her happy. In fact, she is very, very happy. She found a new purpose and joy in life by joining a cult. Now, Mr. Meow looks like he's trying to recruit Hattie Coglock here. Now, Mr. Meow is also at maximum insanity. If you will recall, he was the one who dug up the mysterious fishy idol earlier. So, word to the wise, if you want cults, if you want your colony rife with cults, do not ever build alcohol facilities or a chapel. So something else culty is going on. A mysterious robed figure wants to talk to me. It's a cultist shrine request. A hooded figure who happens to look a lot like Mr. Meow is claiming to be a representative of local interests, which I assume to be the Lodge of the Whispering Tree. He asks for my blessing for a minor construction project. Nothing too troublesome, a small shrine on the edge of town. I could allow it. I could just let them do whatever they want, or I could ban them altogether. I think this would be a good diversion for my colonists, and local infrastructure will help support local businesses. So I'm going to allow the construction of a cult shrine. Mr. Meow thanks me and assures me that cooperation will not be forgotten. And yeah, well, there they go. As they say, one wolf eats another. I'm not familiar with that phrase, but I think that means it refers to problems, subsequent problems taking care of old problems. Well, there we go. Hopefully we'll see some interesting cult stuff. Actually, where's Mr. Meow now? Oh. Our creepy shrine is being constructed. Oh, look at that. Huh. An ominous shrine. And there goes Mr. Meow, off to do whatever he does when he does it. Huh. One of his memories is hearing the trees whispering his name to each other. Oh, look at all the insane things in his memory. But he is so happy. I'm not sure it's a good idea for him to be our butcher / surgeon, though. Don't eat the meat pies he sells. So there was a puff of purple smoke earlier, and now we can see Mr. Meow is wearing the spiffy new cult robes. I don't know why he's holding it. What is that, a hammer? Yeah. So I'm not sure. Mr. Meow has been making a lot of enemies in town lately. If we scroll up on the activity log here, there's a period when right here. He just see in the bottom right here. It's just everyone he met considered him an enemy. I gather. Oh, that was weird. So he wore his purple cult robes out to the shrine, and then he worshipped, and then his purple cult robes disappeared. That was pretty weird. Yeah, so one thing to consider is that most colonists, or most sane colonists, will probably not be amenable to the idea of cultists infiltrating their colony. And that will tend to make other people angry or upset. And that might break out into personal disputes. As you can see, a lot of my colonists hated the cultists, and that in turn manifests as slap fights and punches, and if it gets really bad, it may or may not turn into murder, unless things come to a head. And oh, what's going on here? We were on friendly terms with the fishmen. I don't see why they're attacking. Oh, fair enough. Now that we're swimming in guns, that's not a problem anymore. Let's dump these corpses at the edge of town. Now, what's this cult alert here? More cultists are disappointed that I haven't built a chapel yet. Well, tough. Suck it. And we're just shooting up fishmen on the edges of town. Fishman alert. But now our military is more than up to the task. I really wish I had the lab up and running, or sorry, the naturalist office in this case, and then I could dissect the fishmen instead of having to butcher or bury them. On the other hand, my colony has received a glowing report from a visiting scholar because we're so productive. So that's a good thing. And I think that means we got a point of prestige there. As soon as I get some more overseers, I'm going to assign at least one crew here to the copper mine, or I should say the malachite mine, to make copper, because the sand mine up here has been producing sand, and I have been using the ceramics workshop, as staffed by our friend Yaroslav, to turn them into glass. So now I've got glass, and I've got iron fittings, and I've got a new overseer. Oh, and Hydunia Stelvern has changed the name of their workshop to the Unmentionable Horrifying Maw. Also, I have just been notified of receiving 50 immigrants, so they've mailed me a commemorative landmine in this crate here. Now, I did put up the airship signaling mast so that airdrops come out here and don't crush things in the middle of town. Local bandits, Enola's old queens, have stopped by with some stuff for me. Thank you. I will thank you for these definitely legally obtained goods. I don't even know what they were. One sphalerite, one flax, one malachite, and a cube of clay. Ah, excellent. And look, there goes a giant beetle. I have now completely lost my train of thought. That's right. I need to get this copper mine up and running. So the newest overseer, Elsa Unstibble, you get to work in the copper mine. There we go. Where can I get you some workers? I'm trying to see which crew doesn't need as many workers as they have. Probably... So Deadlight Atar, who has been manning our metalworks here admirably, he probably doesn't need 4 workers under him. So I'm going to take one of those and assign them to the squad at the copper mine. Of course, I'm going to wait for the autosave to finish first. While I'm doing that, I might mention that the latest dev blog... Oh, I will get back to that. Here we go. Gold mine and the copper mine. And soon I'll have all the pieces I need to build a laboratory. And then I can research the fishy idol. Yeah, as I was saying, the latest dev blog, which comes out every Wednesday, so that's a weekly blog just on what Gaslamp Games is doing, has mentioned a pretty significant shift in the production chain of the game going forward. So maybe in the next major revision, or possibly in the experimental revision between this, in the revisions between this stable revision and the next stable revision, so that's Alpha 46, whenever that is, they've mentioned that modules... Wait a second. Chapel, blah, blah, blah. Sure, I'll build one. Yeah. Modules will now be constructed at a workshop. So they'll no longer be constructed on site. So if you remember when I was building the kitchen, actually the kitchen's a bad example because that's an exception. But when I was building the metalworks, for instance, and I queued up the smithing forges and the smelters and stuff, colonists carry the rocks, or the stones, and the bricks to this site, and then you can see them gradually, they pile up and then they gradually get built into these modules. What the dev blog has indicated is that the direction for the future of production is that there will be a central manufacturing workshop, and that will produce modules in crates. So that will produce modules for all your facilities, i.e. none of your workshops will see modules built on site. So to take the example of our metalworks, I would build the metalworks first, and then I would go to the manufacturing workshop where I would queue up, say, the smelter. It would get built, it would get carried over as a crate, it would probably get put into a stockpile, and when the time comes to assemble the crate at the metalworks, then someone will take the crate over to the metalworks and it gets set up quickly. Like the demonstration GIF they attached to the newsletter shows it being built very quickly. That's an interesting change, and I'm interested in... I will deal with these later. Ah, yes, I had a loner overseer working the sand mine, so he's just gone away. So this is going to need a new overseer now. What was I saying? Yes, I'll be interested to see how the boxed module change affects the pace of the game going forward. My guess is that it'll allow for a little bit more flexibility, because now you can build modules ahead of time, and if you've got far-flung distant modules like on my mines over here, but you're able to build the mine shafts in advance. Oh, good. I'm going to get an overseer from the colony, and his name is Abel Golden Cowl. He's a temp overseer. You can work in the sand mine. Yes, as I was saying, now when you're building a mine, you can assemble the mine shaft module here in town, and then when it gets done, it gets carried out here where it gets built quickly, which I suspect means far-flung workshops will get up and running more quickly. It'll be interesting to see. I'm interested to see that implemented in-game. And 3 new immigrants. Sounds good. And yeah, so I think all 3 mines are working now. I think soon, oh, the mysterious purple smoke again. Myrtle Thatch, subcultist under Mr. Meow. That's a pretty purple robes. Current job, worship at cult shrine. I guess this is what they look like when their job is to worship at the shrine. And then when they've discharged that job, I guess their cult robes disappear. Well, fair enough. Yes, so hopefully I can know more purple smoke. Oh, not quite sure what happened there. Oh, Bruce Brazenson has noticed that I took some contraband from the local bandits. I don't want to kill him, so just do what you feel is right, Bruce Brazenson. And he has chosen to overlook the surplus. Oh, more surplus from the bandits. This is actually getting to be a bit of a problem. Elias's tough bandits are here with goods for me. You know what? I don't think I need your goods, and it's causing problems with my colony. So I'm going to say thank you, but no thanks. Ah, Yaroslav. He's talking about culty stuff. One thing I really do need to mention at this point is that although I haven't seen any of the aforementioned spectres or tree curses or beetle curses, it might be because I haven't played quite long enough, or I'm just missing them as they happen. One thing I will mention, for instance, repeatedly now I've been noticing my colonists having weird purple swirlies over their heads, like they're having some kind of eldritch experience. And when I go and look at their memories, I keep on seeing this thing. See this skull icon at the bottom of Bellis Ironsmith's memories? She talked to her friend, a very cold friend, who maybe wasn't alive. So that sounds like a ghost to me. But I haven't seen any ghosts. But it's definitely... Yeah, you see her ghostly experience is actually making her happier. Because she got to talk to her friend, I guess. Maybe that only makes you happy if you're already very culty and mostly insane, like Bellis Ironsmith is. Yeah, so I hope I haven't been missing the ghostly encounters, but that's a new memory for this revision. And maybe the memory of ghostly loved ones is makes you happy if you're slightly insane. One thing I'll also mention is that I have built a naturalist office and a laboratory here, and they're just awaiting... frankly, at this point, I just want to get that lab built so I can research the fishy idol, and maybe I will assign Mr. Meow to be my colony scientist, because his brain is already broken. And hopefully that'll... and at that point, maybe I'll wrap things up. So this particular episode's been going on kind of a long time at this point, and I really need to wrap this series up, because there's a bunch of other Clockwork Empire stuff I want to get to. So hopefully we can see that soon. Oh, I saw a purple explosion. What was that? Damn it, just missed something again. Alright, so here we are. The laboratory has finally constructed the macroscope. So as promised, I am going to unassign Mr. Meow from the office, and I'm instead going to assign him to the laboratory, where, as head overseer, he will become the scientist. Now, if we let him do his thing, the very next thing he should do is pick up that fishy idol and take it into the macroscope for research. Also, I guess that's where he's going now? Where's he going? He's just... Okay, so his job is to study prepared science artifact. I'm getting some crop spoilage, no big deal. He's only moderately insane, actually, which is a little bit weird because he started a cult. So here's the thing. Alcohol reduces negative emotions, generally things like anger. It might also help with a colonist disposition, which in turn helps them resist the seditious effects of cult influence. Oh, here we go. Mr. Meow researching the fishy idol. I didn't build any alcohol in any facilities to... hold the thought for a second. Mr. Meow has studied the artifact, but the results are inconclusive. Further research may prove fruitful. Okay, so he's... Well, he didn't find anything conclusive about it. He will actually continue studying the artifact. Although why he would put it down all the way out here... Oh, but first he has to go worship at a shrine. Yeah, so I didn't build any facilities to make alcohol, which meant my colony, it didn't directly lead to more incidences of cult activity, but it did make colonists angrier and sadder for various reasons, and with no outlet for relief, which in turn might have contributed to cult susceptibility. Another contributing factor is that I did not build a chapel, and a chapel will... Oh, wow, this Myrtle Thatch is going to worship at the shrine. See, the shrine is getting a lot of traffic. So the chapel also makes colonists happier and reduces their fear when they go pray there. Again, I didn't do that, and indirectly it might have contributed to the prominence of cult activity in this playthrough. Otherwise, this is pretty much the way I would have played any session. I mean, I grew the crops as necessary. I assigned new squads when I felt, there was not enough food production. I expanded resource gathering and production facilities as they became necessary. So this is pretty much the way the game plays. Now here we are in Alpha 45. The game has been in early access approximately a year now. I think you can see the mechanics of it are pretty robust. Again, there are big changes in the pipes. The upcoming boxed modules change to the production chain is something I'm very much looking forward to. Things are working pretty much as they should be. We'll still get the occasional hitch, but you'll notice I didn't crash at all during this playthrough. Nothing froze, the frame rate was steady, and things are reasonably balanced. I think some things could use some clarification. I mean, there's still a little bit of confusion over how crops work. I'm going to take these colonists. Why not? Since I'm going to end this colony, just everyone gets sausage. So this is where the game is at now. I think it's pretty solid. And if you've watched this entire playthrough, then I guess you've been watching this for it's been like a 2-3 hour session or something. So I hope I've been able to give you a good idea of whether or not this is the sort of game for you, whether or not this is something you might be interested in. So it's Clockwork Empires. It's being developed by Gaslamp Games, a developer out of British Columbia, up here in Canada, which is where I live as well. I live in Ontario, Canada. But another Canadian developer. Good stuff. I've been following this game for a couple of years now. As you can hopefully tell, I mean, I've been having fun playing it. Yeah, so come say hi on the forums or on the Steam discussion pages. And you'll find the devs are they're active there as well. They answer questions, they'll welcome feedback regarding bugs and balance issues. Otherwise, thanks very much for sticking with me for this entire playthrough. And for those of you who've been waiting all this time, I really, really do intend to get to Crop Talk. That's the next thing I'm going to be doing. Thanks for sticking with me. Have a good one.